All right. I think we are, yeah, we're live. That's great. Welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 28th. It is the OpenJS Foundation Standards Collab Space meeting with our fine non-feathered friends here at OpenJS Foundation, getting together to discuss all things web standards. We don't have like the most robust of agendas today, so that's all right. It's nice outside, so maybe people will get to leave their desks and do something nice. Any announcements, project announcements, OpenJS Foundation news you can use, we should share before we kick off our agenda today.
The only announcement we had was yesterday was the 15th birthday for the Node.js project. So here's a nice tweet that people are giving a lot of love, but lots of community folks who've participated for many, many moons. So appreciate all of them, past, present, and we need more in the future. So there we go.
Node.js is getting its learner's permit soon. So here's a question. What kind of car would Node drive for its 16th birthday? You all can think about that. Happy birthday, Node. Cool. And I think always worth calling out the OpenJS Foundation social channels too. There's always news and blogs and things that get dripped there. So, give it a follow. Let's talk about our liaison and organizations. Let's see. We had a just quick chat on the W3C election. I don't have Leia here for the tag today. Not really sure there's any other W3C newsy news to share, check in on. So maybe we'll get a tag update from Leia asynchronously, unless Michael, you can think of anything else we would.
Leia said she would join 20 minutes late.
Okay, great. Well, then we'll wait. We'll do that next. Then how about TC 39?
I wish I was better prepared. What's going on? We have plenary coming up in a short couple weeks here. That's going to be in hybrid meeting in Helsinki if you're in person. That's also co-located with some other things as a TG5 workshop. TG5 again is the task group for experiments in programming language standardization, which some of you may recall when Mikhail, one of the conveners of that group, joined us here and talked a little bit more about that. I think there's another event co-located, which I can't remember, which shame on me. What else is good? Richard, Jordan?
There's a few things on the agenda. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask him because I remember for a while, a lot of times there would be a like a local developer meetup. Do y'all still do that when you guys meet in person? Try and get the local meetup to do a thing?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad.
There is one planned. Let me see if I can find information.
Oh, and then there's like also a hackathon or something in a different. Let me see where this is.
Looks like Megan's got her hand up. Megan, you can interrupt anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, no, super quick. I was just gonna say, is there a GitHub issue we should put in the chat?
Oh yeah, sorry, I should do that. It's 288, and I'll drop it in chat first.
Oh, the Web Engines Hackfest in A Coruña.
There is a Helsinki JS community event the day before the June plenary in Finland on Monday, June 10th. They're still trying to confirm, finalize like speakers and stuff, but so anyone who's in Helsinki, you're welcome to show up.
Who's going to Helsinki?
One of
No.
these
I'm gonna be
days.
there.
Who's going to be there?
Richard.
Richard?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then Jordan, were you going to share anything from the
Yeah, I mean
agenda?
the agenda's still pretty lightweight. It's usually until right before the deadline that it fills up. So there's I have two proposals on there, promise.try. I'm looking for stage 3 and regex.escape for stage 2.7. There's a couple normative changes on there and some progress updates on a few things. But I would imagine that in the next week or so, we'll see a fast expansion of what's on the agenda.
Awesome. Any questions from the group on TC39 happening? Seems pretty kind of ordinary business stuff, nothing dramatic. I just like that. Okay. Then let's see. TC53, I haven't chatted with Donovan in a while. Maybe get a check-in from him asynchronously in our standard Slack. But that's the JS adjacent TC for JavaScript on embedded devices, resource constrained devices. Not sure if they're working on a V2 of their spec or not, so that would be worth an update. Unless anybody here from the TC39 community has heard anything recently. Gonna assume no. All right.
Not for me.
Okay. And we also do not have, let me go, Unicode Consortium. We also don't have Emily today, although I suspect Emily will be at TC39. So no, no update from them on message format unless anybody here happens to have any. No. Cool.
Sorry, I just posted in the chat a link to. We're looking for feedback from the message format spec.
Oh,
So this is this has been sort of a cross-pollinated effort. There's a proposal in TC39, but there's like a heavy interdependence with some of the work that's being done on ICU side. I've not had time to dig into specifically what they're looking for, but this may be of interest to folks. And Emily, if he was here, would be able to speak to this a little better, I'm sure.
oh, cool. All right. So a user feedback survey or study on the message format spec. Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. All right, we can we'll just pop that into Slack for discussion. That's good. All right, and then we also do not have Toby for any updates on from OSI or Open Policy Alliance. I know they've been really active, kind of what's the word? Road showing, I suppose. They have a draft definition for and for AI. I can pop a link to that in our Slack in case anybody's interested in reading. I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure it's directly material, but you know, seems to be the primary, or I should say the main priority of that organization right at this point, unless Robin, you had heard anything from.
No, although I don't know if we did update this group, the OSI did approve the Blue Oak license on Tide Lift, Louis Villa on the Tide Lift submitted on our behalf because we have some dependencies. So that was really really critical that we received that because of those dependencies. So I want to thank the OSI on that endeavor in Louis.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Louis.
Louis Villa, you're such a nice guy.
Totally.
That's it. That's big. No, I hadn't heard that. That's great. All right. So that's TC39, TC53, Unicode, OSI, and we stretched a little bit, but I don't believe we got Leia in yet. So we can jump down to our agenda items. And if when Leia joins, we can hop back. First thing on our agenda is the travel funds. We had a proposal, all of that was kind of shipped over to the CPC. We've, I think, been rocking a fairly fruitful process for the travel support for our projects. Don't know if there's really anything remaining to be done here. Now that process has been in place for a few months, and I don't know that we've had any other feedback or kind of requirements placed. So I'm not sure if there's anything we need to do.
Just if you
Now.
still have any forecast, we do a monthly sort of true up for our board on our budget every month. So if you think you may be using it in the future, it would be good to know.
Well, so that's a question. We're about halfway through the year.
I think we're tracking Leia on
Yep.
Leia's request is, I think, the only one maybe on our radar. I don't know if there's
Yep.
other folks, so.
Maybe that's the question for the group is, do we think we will have in the second half of the year, any significant, travel? I mean, the one question mark might be, TPAC. That's often a place for, web standards friends to go have some pretty productive meetings, but I don't know if we have anything material for TPAC. This is a great question in the chat. We don't want to ask anybody to like say out loud, hey, I'm going to need, financial assistance to travel, but rather if there were a activity that the standards collab space really thought it would be fruitful to have someone from our community go represent at an in-person technical committee meeting or, convention or something like that, then planning ahead to allocate that couple grand or whatever, regardless of whomever that person might be, it is useful. Obviously, if ultimately somebody's company will pay for that, like great. But at least it kind of gives the CPC a heads up that we kind of would like to go send someone there because we've got some goal or objective. So the only thing that's really coming to mind beyond, of course, the support that we provide our tag friend is TPAC. I don't know if we'll have any. Helsinki is sort of the big TC39 plenary. Is there another big or local one planned? Because I don't know where else you're having meetings.
CC 39.
Yeah, for the rest of the year where you'll be
Japan.
meeting. Japan.
Yeah, it'll be in Tokyo in October, if assuming it,
Yeah.
there's sufficient interest, but I think there will be.
Okay. Okay. So maybe that's a question slash action to particularly those of you filling the kind of liaison point person's role for these meetings. If there's something material that we might want to accomplish at, I don't know where TPAC, I can't remember where TPAC is, but a TPAC or at that TC 39 meeting in Japan. And I see that we have Leah. Hi, Leah.
Hello.
We were anxiously awaiting, not really, your update on anything from TAG. Oh, thanks, Chris. So TPAC is in California this year. So that may be one that we do think about sending a delegate to, because it will be less expensive if there's some things for us to go accomplish there. So that's good to know. And Leah would probably have a lot of good things to add to that.
TPAC?
Yeah, TPAC should OpenJS consider sending anybody to TPAC this year? Particularly if we have anything that we want to go tackle or discuss with any of the working groups or with the tag.
I think it's definitely beneficial sending people to TPAC. Lots of things happened at TPAC last September. It was very productive. Had some really interesting discussions. And like you said, it's in California. So at least for those of us living in the US, it's, or at least on that side of the world, it's a pretty cheap flight. So I see few downsides to it. You're muted.
Sorry, I muted so that you guys wouldn't have to hear the terrible co-working music that plays behind me. So I'll just grab the link that Robin dropped in Anaheim. Okay, great. Yeah, so that's a pretty central location for lots of folks. So that might be worth looking at a proposal for what we might want to go do at TPAC. That's very good. Leah, do you have any updates from the tag that you want to share today? We had kind of gone through a quick liaison update right before you joined.
I'm not sure there's anything in particular that comes to mind that is very relevant to this group. I mean, we've been going through design reviews in the last couple of weeks, and yesterday all our meetings were canceled because Memorial Day. We still don't have appointees, as Sangwan reminded me today. So I'm going to try and see what's going on with that, because I really don't want the end result to be that these seats just stay empty. The whole point of increasing these seats was that we would get more people. And if you recall, there were like 3 rounds of votes and they failed to be ratified. I suspect part of it was that each round had 2 people and there was the same person on all 3 of them. So then we had some meetings with the W3C team. And after that, everything seems to have sort of died down for the last couple of months. And nothing is happening. And I'm quite worried that these seats are just going to end up staying empty, which is literally the worst of all worlds. Like any of the pairs that were suggested by the W3C team, which I also voted against, but any of the pairs that were suggested by the W3C team would have been better than the seats staying empty. So yeah, that is something to pursue. I'm noticing this kind of alarming trend in terms of tag reviews where we are getting these review requests from Chrome. As you know, they have tag review as part of their shipping process. But they're sort of like they're scheduling things to ship anyway, and then they file this review at the point where it can't really make much of a difference. I don't know what to do about that. Because again, like I said, we're very few people, we're overworked, and spending time on reviews that don't really end up making much of a difference is suboptimal use of resources. Michael sounds like he would have things to say.
Rejecting their, just saying, well, we won't do our review. We're not going to go through this exercise if you're not taking it seriously. That would kind of, make them publicly, at least acknowledge the situation. Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously it's a delicate matter, but transparency about if this is just a part of the crank you're pulling and you don't really, and it doesn't make any difference in the output, why should we do this work?
The thing
At
is,
least a private conversation with somebody on the Chrome with some authority at the Chrome team might be the first starting point.
yeah, because this tag review was added to the Blink shipping process with very good intentions, but it looks like a lot of the people requesting these reviews haven't exactly been briefed on why these are useful, and they kind of see it as ticking a box.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have often asked, like, would our review make a difference in this case? And the response we usually get is, sure, we always welcome feedback. If you have feedback, we would love to hear it. I mean, realistically, who would deny hearing feedback? Who would reject feedback in the abstract? But in practice, experience shows that once they have shipped an API, it is very difficult to get them to change it.
Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. Is there somebody in the Chrome project with
We have several contacts in the Chrome project, yes.
Who's the woman who's sort of the community organizer for Blink?
Unity organizer.
There's a name. I'm getting C now. She was my colleague on the steering committee, the What We G steering group. Anyway, maybe some thought about who on the Chrome, Blink, Google side might be a person to have this conversation with. Seems like a probably more productive than, having a public flame war with them, sicking Alex Russell on them.
Yeah, I might float that by the chairs, see what they think.
Chris, you have your hand raised.
Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Michael's comments. Yeah, it would be helpful to sort of just, speak to somebody and just understand what the expectation is. And prioritize accordingly. Because I agree, it doesn't, if it's just, checking a box, that's not really an effective use of your time. And it'd be good to know, what the priority is that they actually set on that. Because that's frustrating. Nobody wants to do, folks are happy to do the work, I'm sure, if it's valuable, right? And if it's, just a sort of a formality and they don't really care about it, in some regard, then, that's not really good for anybody.
And it takes time away from reviews that could actually make a difference, especially since when we see that something is shipping, we prioritize it in case the review makes a difference. But
Exactly.
often by that point, it's already too late.
Yeah, so it'd be helpful to know, and that's okay if that's their answer, right? You say, okay, well then, yeah, we'll put these kind of on a low priority, and if we get to them, we get to them, and if not, we have more important things that we could be doing, that will take priority, and I think that's a totally fair position to defend.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I don't think this is who Michael was trying to think of, but I feel like this would also be interesting to Rachel, Andrew, because from like a documentation standpoint, I think that's another thing that they struggle with. So, she's at Google. I may kind of ask her to share some thoughts too, Leah.
Interesting. So how were you thinking about that? Like what connection do you see between tag review and documentation?
Well, so I mean, I think they run into a situation, not always, but certainly happens where they're shipping stuff faster than they can actually fully document it. Her team does Google Chrome documentation. They also need to make sure that it's documented on resources like MDN. And then oftentimes by the time it's kind of the thing is shipped and they've got some docs for it, like whichever team was producing that API are off on some other thing that they're building, and they're not necessarily like thinking through, coming back to amend, fix, debug, whatever, something that wasn't fully, fully understood or communicated or baked. So I don't know. I wonder if she might have some insights and from her perspective, and that's all.
Yeah, I could reach out. I mean, that reminded me, there's a bunch of reviews we got where like we usually ask for an explainer when somebody asks for tag review. And the explainer is not just to save us time, but also it helps explain the spec to people who are not used to reading specs. Like it's useful for the community in general. And like we often, in these reviews, like we are often pointed to like, I don't know, a web.dev article that DevRel people wrote at Google instead of an actual explainer. And like an explainer is not just something that explains how to use this API in a less technical format than a spec. I mean, sure, it does that as well, but it's supposed to also list use cases, pain points, like alternatives considered, that sort of thing, like to explain the design of the feature as well. So you can't really substitute a tutorial for that. Yes, indeed.
So I pasted the LinkedIn reference to the person I was thinking of, who Shruti Srikanta.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the name. I think if we reach out to someone on the Chrome team, it would probably be like one of the people that we know on the Chrome team that has liaised with the tag before.
But my thought was just she's somebody who is, at least in my interactions with her since I retired, was, trying to get community engagement. So kind of like this group. But anyway, yeah, I agree with getting the right person in the conversation is the key. And if you have you folks on the tag probably know who they are, but just take it up a level from the people submitting the request to the people who are more on the relationship policy, whatever side.
Toby, you wanted to say something?
I'll second Michael's comment about Shruti. Shruti's very smart. Oh wait, this is recorded. I'm just trying. This is streamed. I'm just trying to be a bit. I'm sorry. I just noticed that now. I'm happy to have a private conversation about this.
I'm happy to say publicly that Shruti is very smart and very,
Me too.
very good person.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah. I mean, I just did. So.
Right. Any other like questions for Leah on the tag updates?
So what's the next step? We're going to have a more private conversation on exactly who should hear what message, or do you have a pretty good idea of what
I
the
think
next
that
step?
should, I think that should probably come from the chairs. So I'm going to follow up with the chairs. And same about the appointments, actually. So I'm gonna,
Yeah, the appointments, I was thinking of asking people in my various back channels, is it time to make a stink about this publicly, or, I mean, to the advisory committee, or, yeah, I mean, it's been what, 6 months?
yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
while.
I mean, that's, yeah, anyway, yeah, I mean, something's wrong. Like you say, it's better to have people who will do, good enough um, is better than nothing. Even, and anyway, I
Yeah,
know it's a delicate subject, but there's a larger issue. If this system just doesn't work, then the system needs to change.
yeah.
Leah, should we chat like, offline about whether, because I think Mike's making a good point that, as members, like this would be the kind of thing that we could I don't want to say poke the bear on, but like we could, raise and say, it's been 6 months and we're hoping to get more, advocacy and support for the tag and these new roles, and there's been no update. Like, I think that's worth potentially
That
crafting
might
a
work.
message on.
Yeah, that might work. Let's take it offline. I'm also going to float it by in our private Slack and see what people think as well, where other people stand. And yeah, let's take it offline.
I'm just writing my notes. All right. And then while I've finished that up, Toby, we had already done our little quick liaison updates, but I just was going to confirm there wasn't anything new or newsy from OSI or OP or the policy lines to report on.
I came wholly unprepared for this.
That's what Chris said. I'm not ready. Don't put
Not really. I mean, like nothing really new. Um, on that front, frankly.
It seems like they've been focused on the AI work mainly, and that doesn't really seem. I'm gonna ask you to kind of confirm, but my assessment is it's not really material what they're doing there at this point to us, unless you would disagree with that.
I mean, I think that's yeah, there is some overlap, but it is much smaller than the overlap we have for other things. And so yeah, I don't disagree with your statement.
Okie doke. Popping us back to the agenda then. we just covered the travel fund planning and potentially making a hold for someone local to attend TPAC, since that's in Anaheim, California here. The next item on our agenda is a task list for converting the working group to the collab space. Someone had volunteered. Was it let me go see if I can find it in my notes. I feel like last time we had a volunteer and I didn't go review the notes from last time before I joined. It was Rick. I think it was Rick Markins. So I'll poke Rick and see if he's had
Yeah, Rick was on vacation last week, so probably catching up. Yep.
So yeah, Rick had volunteered. So I'm sure he didn't work on his vacation. But we'll just take a few hopefully minor amendments to our repository documents to update everything to use the new nomenclature. Don't think there's anything else there. Next thing I want to go and talk about is in our remaining 12 minutes. 173 and 240 were sort of related issue and pull request from last year, when we really attempted to clarify for our community and then also for the organizations that we are collaborating with, kind of who is kind of doing what, and how we can make it more clear when folks sign up, raise their hand and say, either I'd like to be involved with the standards working group, or I'd like to go be a kind of delegate for the standards working group. PR 170, sorry, excuse me, PR 240 had some outstanding block from Mr. Langle. Let me drop it in the chat. I think we had kind of come to some verbal agreement, but Toby, it may be best for you to take a look and make sure that we did address your comments and you're good with the kind of discussion. But that PR is blocked. I think we at least in the couple of times that we've now since talked to new prospective delegates to, for example, TC39, other organizations, they've indicated this material has been really helpful. But you know, it may also,
This is like a year old. I have like literally no idea what this is about.
Yeah, so this was again, yeah.
What was that?
Ship it, he said.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of feel like that'd be the ideal outcome to ship it and then revise on a fresh if there was a something that needed more material. But anyway, the main goal for this work was to help everybody just understand the framework for our collaboration, how we are going to support these other organizations by providing, expertise from our communities to go, to go weigh in and help. So, I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
I mean, it looks like there is sort of like unresolved conversations, and maybe we should resolve those. Again, just going through the comments, looking at the first one, the note says, note that new liaisons or membership must be discussed with OpenJS Foundation Executive Director Robin Ginn and must be approved by the Board of Directors. And like I note that this is actually like something that the CPC does and delegates to this group, so that doesn't really make any sense.
Well, so no, it does, because the board is the only entity that can sign a liaison agreement. Like our our subgroup, our collab space is not empowered to enter into a separate agreement on behalf of the foundation. So the board must execute, like, for example, a liaison agreement with OSI, or, you know, if there was a new
We don't have
organization.
a lot of those pieces of paper that formalize. But
I'm sorry, I missed this, Robin.
Yeah, we don't really have we don't have any contracts, so to speak, with these standards organizations. Maybe W3C. We do pay
Yeah,
dues.
W3C is a
and-
membership agreement, yeah.
Yes,
And-
exactly, but we
and-
pay dues on that, so that's.
Well, and ECMA, there was a agreement with ECMA as well. So it's not always going to be the case that there's such a
Yeah.
piece of collateral required, but certainly if there's a membership and
Mhm.
one where money will change hands for that membership, the board has the pen on that for sure. Chris has his hand up.
Yeah, no, that's all fair comments. I think just to Toby's point, he does have that comment and a couple others that are just have not been responded to. So yeah, I think that the next step here is for, I don't know, it's always diffusion of responsibility, but somebody among us or some bodies should respond to Toby. And of course, talking about it, working it out here is obviously fine too. But yeah, I see what he's talking about.
So maybe we can go, because I feel like we had covered this in a call at one point, and
Oh, okay.
and everybody had kind of said all right, and then maybe it was our bad for not documenting at that point in time on the call that these issues, these pieces had been, and so we're gonna talk about them again. Maybe we could go through some of them and close them out. So Toby, does that make sense on why 43 like does require you know, board input?
Well, I mean, I think we should be more specific about when that's required. And just, I mean, I think it's just important that, I mean, the fact that the board delegates like leading this to the CPC, you know, as part of the charter, so that like we shouldn't have something that like moves, you know, points this to something different. Your point, obviously, about, you know, if there's an MOU, some membership agreement that needs to be executed, then obviously that requires either both ED or ED and board approval. But I think we should be more specific and not make it look like this is something that is sort of like goes around the CPC. I mean, I think that's important.
So if signature is required,
I mean, if like if there's a legal agreement, I don't know about it. I don't know.
I don't think
like
we
what
need
the-
board, I don't think we'd need board approval unless it was a certain financial barrier, so.
Right. So I mean, I think that the well, I mean, I guess yeah.
is that roughly correct then in our understanding? So CPC approves, but ED
Well, I mean,
approves.
not even like, I mean, I don't even, does the CPC even
Yeah, you
need
know,
to
the
approve?
CPC empowers, for example, this group to make decisions.
Exactly.
Empower the security collab space to make decisions.
Exactly. So so I think, yeah, this group is empowered to make those decisions,
Yes.
but would require um um I mean, it's not even Robin's approval. It's Robin to execute the agreement,
Mhm,
because this group isn't empowered to execute the agreement.
mhm.
Um, and then if Robin, this is above like a threshold that you can approve like this, then this has to be I guess in that case, then taking back to the CPC, that then would take it to the board. I assume this is how it would work.
Um,
Or maybe, I mean, I don't know.
it
Like, I
would
don't
go
know what
right
the
to- I
amounts
think it
are.
would go to the board.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so, ED will be required if signature on legal agreement, board approval may be required if money is required for the membership.
Yeah, well, like above a certain threshold or something like
Yes.
this.
Sure. All right. Okay, and then we got some exchange between Toby and Jordan.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was. I think one of the things that we're trying to figure out, and I think there's like a God, Jordan was a bit confused. I'm confused now.
I'm
Well,
trying to
because-
catch up.
Yeah,
So it sounds like we have a oral understanding within the group, within whoever was in the group was around at the time of the policy, but it doesn't sound like we've documented it clearly. And so I tried to convey that in sort of towards the bottom of that little thread. Essentially, it's that if like that we are trusting a member of this group. When we say a member of this group is an official representative of the foundation, we are trusting them to responsibly wear the appropriate hats and be clear about which hats they're wearing. And
Now I remember this conversation.
yeah.
Yes.
And then the only thing that they do not have autonomy to do necessarily is object to like block advancement of things. And if an open, this is primarily in the context of TC39, but it could apply anywhere. The idea was that if you're going to represent the foundation and you're going to be the thing, the reason that a proposal doesn't advance, that might make the foundation not look great. And so we want to make sure that you have that you, the delegate, the foundation delegate, has socialized the proposal with this group right here, and that we have kind of rough consensus in the group to block that advancement. And in the event that in the middle of a meeting, new information comes up and you need to buy more time, it's okay to block something, but then you have to come explain yourself to this group. And in theory, we trust your judgment on that. That's my paraphrasing of where I think we understood in the past.
I totally remember this conversation now. I think we even chatted about it on Slack too.
Right.
And I think that, so there's this, and that sounds absolutely fine. I don't know what language needs to be there. I think there was another thing, which there's another issue that Jory mentions in there, which is that we sort of like we're confusing different terms because like representative means something specific for something entirely different for W3C than it means for ECMA. I think at ECMA in TC39, anyone who's part of like a meeting is actually a rep, whereas at W3C it means you're actually representing the organization that you're coming from, and can make
you're like the point of
decisions
contact or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think that was adding to the confusion, and I think so
right.
Not too sure how to solve those two things here, to be honest, given the context.
I mean, I think we should define somewhere our own terms and say this term A in TC39 would mean this, and in W3C would mean this, and we can add other helpful examples as needed. And term B would mean this, and then we can just unambiguously use our terms A and B within this document. I don't care what those terms are. If that explanation is there, I can deconfuse myself.
Yes, I think somewhere in there I saw Robin uses SMEs to talk about us in those contexts. Here, like one paragraph below the cursor, this movie.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Would it make sense?
We think we lost Robin because of and Leia. We are at time. I like
Yeah.
that I saved like the meaty thing for like, okay, in 5 minutes, agree to this.
Well, what I will say is modulo the bike shed of the terms. Toby, if there's a place you want me to write a paragraph describing the things I just said,
No, I
Slack
mean,
me
yes.
and I'll do that.
I
And
mean,
then as far as coming up with the terms, like I don't
we
care.
can do that elsewhere. I agree. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I just
Cool.
want to clarify though that like things like you mentioned, there's a difference in like W3C and ECMA, and there's really not. We call them different. We have different names for different things, but they
Right.
have the same concept. So like for ECMA, there are member representatives, that is like, you have like one
Absolutely.
from IBM, and then the equivalent to that on W3C are the AC reps, right? The advisory committee.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's different than like the delegates within ECMA, and they're called participants in W3C for the working
Yeah.
group. They have the
We
same.
just need to
No,
like be clear about what the like local names are for these
Yeah.
No,
the global
like
roles.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, Chris. Absolutely. I just think like that was part of the confusion because we're using those terms and understanding them. Half of us in terms of
Yeah.
how we were
We're
using
talking
them,
past each other.
colloquially, and the other one like what and yeah, okay, we get it. Thank you. Yeah,
It
so
is confusing, and then because OpenJS, the standards group, also has their own definitions for those terms and the representatives.
Yeah.
So
All right.
to Toby's point, this PR is like a year old. And before it celebrates its 15th birthday, I would love to land it and this summer. Can I ask us
This summer.
this summer?
Oh
Can I ask us
my
to like
God, it's
cover
brutal.
this? I know it's brutal. All my gray hair is from this group. I have no gray hair. So I'd love to cover this as like our main topic for next week, because I think this we can button this up for our next meeting. And in
Sounds
the
good.
meantime, maybe we can offer, if you have time, offer some suggested language that we can refresh your memory of the discussion points and offer suggested language to close some of this out. We can cover that.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I
Talk
hope you
soon,
all have a
people.
wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Likewise, bye.